I'm just gonna make the crust first. I've got a package of Gingersnaps, and I'm gonna let the food processor grind them up. I want to get them really fine. Okay, the crumbs look perfect. Oh, I love the smell of Gingersnaps. I'll add some brown sugar and some chopped pecans. I chopped them pretty fine. And a dash of salt. There's a lot of sweetness in here. I'll just stir this together and mix it up. To bring the crust all together, I'll drizzle in some melted butter. This is about 6 tablespoons of butter, not too much. You just want enough to make the crumbs come together. All right, the crumbs look delicious. So I'll just dump them into a springform pan. And then I'll just use my fingers to press it into the bottom of the pan. And I want to bring the crumbs up along the sides of the pan by about 1/2 inch. Before I pour the filling into the crust, I'm just going to chill it for about 30 minutes. So while the crust chills, I'm going to go whip up the delicious filling. So I'm just going to get a whole bunch of cream cheese into the mixer and beat it until it's soft, scraping the bowl once. I'll add a can of pumpkin puree and mix that in, scraping it again. Then I'll add 3 eggs, one at a time. That's the first, the second, and the third. Okay, now it's in with sour cream. And next, with the mixer on low, I'm gonna add sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla. I'll really scrape the bowl before giving it all one final mix. Okay, that's done. Ready for the next step. The crust should be all set. Yep, looks good. Now I'm just gonna pour this luscious filling right in. This stuff is divine, delightful, all the adjectives that begin with D that I can think of. I'll just spread this into a single layer. Lad dropped me off, and he actually has to go back out there and work a little bit. I'm sure he won't get as much done without me helping him, but he'll get by. All right, the cheesecake just needs to go into a 350-degree oven for about 50 minutes. Now, while the cheesecake bakes, I'm gonna whip up a delicious salted caramel sauce to drizzle over the top. Not only is it yummy on the cheesecake, but it's also good to drizzle over all the other pies that people are bringing. It's so easy to whip up. Here goes. I just get some butter into a pan, along with brown sugar, heavy cream, vanilla, and some salt. Then I'll gently whisk it for 5 minutes or so, just until it thickens. Now I'll just get the sauce into a jar. Oh, look at that sauce. So thick and rich. Dessert tomorrow can't come soon enough for me. For the cheesecake, I'm gonna turn the oven all the way off, and then I'll open the door just a bit, and I'll let it finish cooking in there for about 15 minutes. It'll slowly finish the cooking, and it'll prevent any big cracks from forming on the surface. Now, the sauce goes into the fridge, and with that, dessert is done. I'm one step closer to a stress-free feast, and that is something to be thankful for.
Strawberry lemon cheesecake bars. And guess what? It's no bake. It's cold, refreshing. 1 box of vanilla wafers in a bag. And I'm crushing the vanilla wafers because it's gonna be the buttery crust for the strawberry lemon bars. All right. I'm melting 1.5 sticks of butter. It's a lot of butter, but hey, you're making a cheesecake bar. You can't skimp on the butter. While that's melting, I'm gonna grab a lemon and some sugar. I'm zesting a half a lemon, so I wanna kick that lemon flavor up a notch. You know, now that I think of it, house names like Marty's are pretty common in my family. My grandmother's brother, his name was John Robinson, but we called him Snooky. Have no idea why we called him Snooky, but I always addressed him as Uncle Snooky. House name. So I've added 3 tablespoons of sugar, I want to add that hot butter directly to those crushed vanilla wafers. I want to add a heavy pinch of salt. This crust is so versatile. You can use it in a key lime pie. If you're making some type of like baked fruit, like grilled peaches, you can add it as a quick crumble. And I actually make a baked banana pudding cheesecake. And of course, banana pudding has vanilla wafers, so use a vanilla wafer crust. All right, that looks great. That is the bomb.com. I'm just gonna press down till it's even and leveled. And I've added the parchment paper to make it easy to pull out once it's done. Alrighty, so my crust is in the freezer. I'm gonna get started on my cheesecake filling. I'm using, which is important, room temp cream cheese. I've tried to take the shortcut and not get this cream cheese at room temp, and it does not work. You won't get that nice and fluffy cream cheese filling if you use cold, mildly cold cream cheese. All right, so I'm using about 24 ounces. Here's why I love this no-bake recipe. It's summertime, it's hot. Who wants to turn on their oven in the summertime? I mean, here in Charleston, it's 100 degrees past 100 degrees. It's hot. I'm not turning that oven on. I'm gonna beat my softened cream cheese till it gets fluffy with a little volume. So I'm gonna stop the process right now. A little bit of lemon zest. 2 teaspoons vanilla extract. All right, get this going again. That looks good to me. It's nice and fluffy, nice and silky and smooth. It's doubled in size, got a little bit of volume in there. Ready to add my lemon juice. 2 teaspoons, 2 cups, confectioner's sugar, add it in 1 cup at a time. So I've made this recipe before for my mom and she loved it. The boys haven't tried it yet and I'm pretty sure they're gonna love it too. All right, I'm gonna add in the other cup, the final cup, confectioner's sugar. Get this started again. This is gonna be so light, so airy. Pop it in the fridge, take it out. Once it's chilled, it's gonna be cool, delicious, and refreshing. I'm gonna add in 1.5 cups of sour cream. It gives it that sharp tanginess and it just complements that lemon juice and lemon zest. Alrighty, pop this off. Fold in my whipped cream. And that's about 1 cup. Now because it's no bake, you want that nice, airy, melt in your mouth effect. And that whipped cream does that. In the time that it took me to make this, my crust has already set up. It's fluffy, it's creamy, and it's gonna taste so good once it's chilled. That is done. I'm gonna pop this in the fridge. I gotta cut up some strawberries for the garnish. Cut the top off, cut it lengthwise. Nothing special. And I love using strawberries, especially in the summertime. It just screams summer. They're nice and sweet and ripe, very easy. I mean, lemon and strawberry go hand in hand, like strawberry lemonade. Just place them down. You can get fancy and create a little pattern. If you don't want to do a pattern, that's okay too. I'm putting on the strawberries now instead of when I refrigerated it because strawberries tend to get really, really watery once it sets. These will not get watery at all. I've zested a lemon and add that right on top. I'm gonna make sure I cut between the strawberries. I will eat this by myself, but I have to share. Y'all ready for dessert?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that is good.
That looks excellent.
There you go. Look at that.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, man.
So the first thing I want to do is make the crust. I need 10 graham crackers. I'm just going to break them up into the food processor. This is just a classic graham cracker crust with a little bit of cinnamon added to it. Just process them. You want them really finely ground. Okay, teaspoon of cinnamon. Cinnamon and chocolate is a great combination. And some melted butter, about 5 tablespoons. Just gonna pour it right into the food processor. Just give it a blitz. Put it into a 9-inch springform pan. I'm just press this right into the pan. I'm going to bake at 350 degrees for 12 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to make the filling. Perfect. Can't make chocolate cheesecake without chocolate. So I'm going to do 5 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. Just going to melt it. Best way to melt chocolate is to just chop it up in small pieces. You don't want to overheat it, otherwise it'll taste bitter and sort of burnt. So just shave it like this. When I melt chocolate, I actually melt it a little under-melted because the heat just continues to melt the chocolate. So into a double boiler, it's basically a dish over a pan of simmering water, not boiling. And then to give it more flavor, and this is interesting because it must have been Diana's original idea to add coffee to chocolate. Really makes a difference. So it's a tablespoon of instant espresso powder. I'm just gonna let that hang out there. You know, when I first bought Bear for Contessa, I remember this cake so vividly because it was incredibly expensive that we used to sell it by the inch. I don't know why. I think it was $40. It's sort of like from 1978. It would be like a cake being $150 now. We closed the door one night. There was nothing left in the store except this one cake, and somebody knocked on the door and said, I need something for dessert. I need something chocolate. And I said, all I have is this one cake. It's incredibly expensive. It's $40. I was really embarrassed. And they said, we'll take it. And I thought, I like this business. This works for me. So this is just melted now. And I think the crust is all ready. Perfect, you can smell the cinnamon. Okay, now, next thing I need for the filling is 1 3/4 pounds of cream cheese. It has to be at room temperature. That's 8. It's a big cake. 1 cup of sugar. 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Teaspoon of good vanilla extract. 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. And just mix that together. I'm just gonna whip this on medium-high speed until it's light and fluffy. Okay, next are the eggs, 3 eggs. Oh, this is perfect, it's nice and light. So now I'm gonna add the eggs 1 at a time. If the cream cheese isn't room temperature, it'll never incorporate the eggs. Next thing is a 1/2 cup of sour cream. And now for the cool chocolate. You want to make sure the chocolate is completely cool. Otherwise you'll scramble the eggs in the cake. That's not pretty. So just on very low speed. This is such a decadent dessert. I think maybe I'll give Diana what's left over to take home. That's it. So just like most cheesecakes, this cake bakes in 2 parts. First part is 350 degrees for an hour. And then I'm going to open the oven door and let it cool in the oven for an hour and a half. That really prevents it from cracking, so it cools very slowly. This is about as decadent as it gets. Just smooth it out. And as if this isn't decadent enough, I'm going to make some warm chocolate ganache and drizzle it over the cake. It's going to be so good. In 1978, when I bought Bear for Contessa, one of the most popular desserts that Diana Strata made was this chocolate cheesecake. It has lots of espresso in it, has great flavor. And I thought, I'm just going to turn up the volume a little bit and add a drizzle of chocolate ganache. I'm chopping up 1/4 pound of bittersweet chocolate. I've got a double boiler that I made with a glass bowl and simmering water. So put the chocolate right in. Okay, 1/4 cup of heavy cream. And just heat those together just until the chocolate melts. Ganache is great for icing chocolate cakes, but it's also terrific if you want to drizzle on a dessert. If you I'm gonna drizzle it on the plate, but for this, I'm just gonna drizzle it on the top of the chocolate cheesecake. Here's the cake. Doesn't that look great? I'm just gonna take a spoon and just drizzle it on. Drizzle it right across. Well, I would say dessert is done. Does that look familiar? Oh, that is lovely. This cake is amazing.
Lemon blueberry bars. And we're gonna get the crust together first, which I think is gonna be super delicious. And it's also great for a bake sale too, you know, because that does pop up from time to time, and you always want a really good recipe that's just gonna be foolproof. And what we're gonna do, gonna get this together. I'm gonna get a pan here, and we're gonna melt down a half a stick of butter. Now the stick of butter is gonna go into the graham cracker crumbs, which I'm not really telling you anything you don't know. The graham cracker crumbs are gonna hold the bottom of the cheesecake together, and we're gonna melt that together. All right, and what we're gonna do is gonna lock this guy in, and we're gonna take one whole package of graham crackers. And I'm not sure, maybe it's like probably 9 or 10, one big brick. And we're gonna grind them up to almost where it looks like sand. So we got one of these guys. We're just gonna pop this open. I'm gonna drop the graham crackers right in, like that. Okay, we're also gonna season this up. I got a little bit of sugar, okay, we're gonna make it sweet. I'm just gonna eyeball all of this, but I think it's about 2 tablespoons, okay? It's also gonna make it nice and crisp once we cook it. All right, and then we're also gonna add a little bit of cinnamon to the graham crackers as well, because I think it's a really kind of nice, well-rounded flavor. All right, so a little bit of cinnamon, not too much. Drop it in like that. It's gonna give it a great smell as well. All right, drop that in. And just kind of pulse it down. All right. Perfect. Now, when the graham crackers are completely broken down, we're gonna take our melted butter, and we're just gonna pour it in, okay, right on top. All right, and then we're gonna do it one more time, and the butter and the sugars are gonna start to react, and that's what's gonna make the crust itself really crispy when we pop it into the oven. So it almost looks like wet sand once you start to blend the butter. All right, perfect. All right, pop this off, get rid of this big guy, so we got some room to work here. All right. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna bake this off in a pan. Now this recipe has been tested with a 9x9 baking dish, right? So we've got one big square here, all right, just like this. Now when it comes to baking cheesecake, if you're gonna go through, you know, it's not really an effort, but go through the, you know, the process of putting this together, you wanna make sure you can definitely get it out of the pan, all right? So we're gonna take out all the stops. I've got my second stick of butter here and my half a stick of butter, and we're just gonna butter the bottom of the pan here. And I got a really good trick for you, which kind of works with a lot of baking stuff. All right, so I'm gonna butter the sides, make sure we get the bottom. And then this is really cool, check this out. We're gonna take 2 sheets of parchment paper, and we kind of fold them over. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make almost a raft down the bottom of this. We're gonna stick the parchment straight into the bottom on one side, and then straight into the bottom on the other. That way you've got some handles to pull the cheesecake out. When we're done, it comes out in one beautiful solid piece. It's great. Then we're gonna take our crumbs here. So we're gonna pop the top of this guy. All right, take this out, and then we're just gonna take the crumbs, and we're just gonna pour them in right into the bottom. Now we're gonna pre-bake this, because sometimes the crust can be a little kind of crumbly, so it doesn't really kind of support the cheesecake. I think it should be super crunchy. I think it should have a nice little snap to it. So we're just gonna take a little glass dish, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna press all of the graham cracker right down into the bottom. We're gonna put this into the oven at 325 degrees for about 12 minutes until it's golden brown, and it's gonna be a great base for the cheesecake, and then we're gonna rebake it again later, and this crust is gonna have a serious snap to it. It's gonna be perfect. So I've got a mixer here. All right, what we're gonna do is kind of put everything together. We got a crust that's starting to set up. It's so simple. All right, if you're taking notes, I've got 1 16-ounce container cream cheese that we're gonna put right in the bottom of our mixer here. And you want to make sure that the cream cheese is room temperature. If not, you're going to get lumps. All right, then we're going to add 2 eggs to the bottom of this, and the eggs are going to help bind it. It's also going to give that really fluffy texture. All right, 1 egg. 2. All right, now this is a lemon blueberry cheesecake bar, so of course we need some lemon. I got 2 lemons here. All right, and I've got a grater. And what we're gonna do is take the zest off of both these guys. So the zest of 2 lemons, and we're just gonna take it off. Now you wanna take the skin, which is the yellow part, but not the pith, which is the white part. Now, that can be really bitter. So we'll take all the stuff off. We got 1, all right, we got 2. All right, then we're gonna take the juice from the same 2, cut them in half, and then we're gonna squeeze them like through my fingers, just like this. So you're gonna make sure you catch all the seeds. Okay, we're gonna squeeze this out, and then we're gonna sweeten it up with a little bit of sugar. Okay, I'm gonna have 1/2 cup of just regular white sugar to our food processor. And I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. So it's not really an exact measurement. If you've ever measured a cup before, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So it's about, I think there. Okay, looks pretty good. Now we're gonna put this through the mill here. Blend it down. Boom. And we're done. That's it. That's how fast it happens. And these are some of my favorite recipes because they're just so quick and you can really get the cheesecake in the oven. All right. Now we're gonna pour this into the base here. Get rid of the blade here. Look how thick that batter is, isn't it great? This is awesome. All right. Okay, we're gonna take all this great cheesecake batter and we're just gonna pour it right in the bottom of the crust. Look at that. Waste not, want not. We'll make sure you get all this stuff out. And try not to disrupt the graham cracker on the bottom, so you don't want like flakes of graham cracker all through your cheesecake. You want it nice and smooth and separated. All right, so we're gonna take this up, all right, and just kind of gently kind of push it from one side to the other. All right, it definitely goes all the way from end to end. Now, we said blueberry lemon cheesecake, right? I know you're probably thinking to yourself, where the heck are the blueberries? What we're gonna do with this is take a whole pint of blueberries that have been washed, and we're going to put them right on top whole. We're just gonna sprinkle them in, and we're gonna keep it the same temperature, relatively low, 325 degrees. All right, so the whole thing's gonna bake. And we're gonna cook it for about 30 or 35 minutes or until it just starts to jiggle right in the middle. And it's gonna be great. Now, our lemon blueberry cheesecake bars have set up, and honestly, the hardest thing about this is just trying to keep your fork out of it while they cool down. Now, what you wanna do is grab the corners, and the whole thing slides out with one piece. How easy is that to clean up, right? And then what you wanna do is kind of fold down the edges of the cheesecake bars, and it's beautiful. All right, then I've got a knife with some warm water. You wanna dry it off. And while the knife is warm, it's gonna go through the cheesecake like butter. All right, we're gonna go all the way down to the end. All right, just like that. And then you just pop off these beautiful blueberry cheesecake bars. Isn't that fun? That's cool, huh? You can have them for lunch. They're great for a bake sale. And you can probably get $2.50 or $3 a piece for those things. Makes a great presentation if you're having the ultimate lunch. And then we'll dust up a little bit of powdered sugar. Just kind of give it a little bit of effect. Those are pretty good. All right, a little bit of powdered sugar right down the middle. And those are it, man. It's fantastic, quick thing you can make any night of the week.
Of course, I have to start with dessert. It's the best part. I'm starting by making the crust. It's just a regular graham cracker crust, really tasty. I put in 2 sleeves of graham crackers, and I will add some pecans to give it a nice nutty flavor. And the lid goes on, and I'll pulse it just to break them up. To moisten up the crumbs, I've got a little melted butter, and I'll pulse it while it goes in. And for extra yumminess, a little splash of vanilla. Pulse it all in. Now this goes into a buttered pan. I lined it with foil just to make it easy for the squares to come out when they're done. I like a generous crust with my cheesecake, and this is exactly that. It's gonna be nice and thick. I wanna firm it into the bottom of the pan. The crust looks great, it's all packed in there. So now I'll start on the cheesecake filling. I have 3 blocks of cream cheese. It's been softening. And I'll add 1.5 cups of sugar and let this start mixing together. This is looking great. Now I have 4 eggs that I cracked into a pitcher, and I'll drop them in one at a time just to give each egg a chance to mix in. Okay, that's looking great. Now a splash of vanilla. And the last thing, and I'll just add it while the mixer is going, 1/2 cup of sour cream. This is a fantastic cheesecake recipe. I use it all the time. I'll turn up the mixer just to get it nice and smooth for a few seconds. That looks perfect. Can't promise I'm not gonna lick the bowl. It just looks too good. Get it all smoothed out into the corners. Look at this luscious mixture. The cheesecake goes into a 350-degree oven for about 45 to 50 minutes. And after that time, I'll turn off the oven and open the door for another 10 minutes. And after that, it goes into the fridge. All right, the cheesecake is baked and cooled. It looks amazing. And now it's time to pour on the caramel topping. I poured a can of sweetened condensed milk into a pan. This is the secret to foolproof caramel. Then added dark brown sugar, salted butter, some dark corn syrup, a little vanilla extract, and stirred the mixture until the butter had melted, the sugar had dissolved, and the whole thing had come to a boil. Then I attached a candy thermometer and boiled the caramel, stirring constantly until it reached 225 degrees. Then the heat went off. I let the sauce cool for about 5 minutes, and now I'll pour it all over the surface of the cheesecake. Oh boy, how good does this look? Now the pan goes back into the fridge.
Whipped cheesecake with pistachio crust. To start, I'm gonna make my pistachio crust. I have some roasted pistachios here. It's always important to use toasted or roasted nuts for this because that'll bring out their flavor. And I'm gonna add 1 cup of them to my food processor. I'm gonna grab 1/4 cup of sugar, a pinch of kosher salt to bring out these flavors. Now, I'll blend this until they form a coarse crumb. I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of butter, and that's just to hold this mixture together. Oh yeah, that's good. That's perfect. The crust is not too sweet. It's nice and rich and nutty. And now I'm gonna add it to my serving glasses. I'm eyeballing this so that they're even. Now I'm gonna pack this mixture down with a muddler. This filling is fluffy and mousse-like, and it comes together so easily. I'll grab some yogurt and heavy cream out of my fridge. I also have some cream cheese softening here. I'll take 1/2 block of that. And I'm gonna mix this with some powdered sugar. And this filling is not too sweet. It's great. And next I'll add a pinch of salt to bring out these flavors. Some vanilla, I love vanilla. And almond extract, which actually really enhances the pistachio flavor in the crust. Next I'll add 1/2 cup of yogurt. It's giving me that tangy deliciousness that I cannot get enough of. And I'll mix this to combine. Okay, and next I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream. So that's another easy thing about this recipe. It's 1/2 cup of cream cheese, 1/2 cup of yogurt, and 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And now I'm gonna mix this to stiff peaks. That'll take a little bit longer, closer to a minute. Now I'm gonna put it into a piping bag, and I'm gonna use that to put it into my serving glasses. Okay, they're looking so fluffy and good. Now these are gonna set in the fridge for about an hour. While my cheesecake's finished chilling, I'm gonna add some brightness and fruitiness to the top with a quick and easy raspberry topping. And I'm gonna jazz them up a little bit with some lemon juice, which will add nice tartness and dimension. Okay, I'm gonna add some sugar to my berries and mix them up and allow them to macerate. All that means is they're gonna release their juices and create a syrup, and they're gonna marinate in that syrup, and the flavor is just gonna get amplified and delicious. I'm gonna jumpstart this juice releasing party by mashing a few of the berries. They're bright and glossy, and now I'm gonna add them to the top of my cheesecakes. And I'll just spoon a nice healthy spoonful of raspberries over the top of the cheesecakes. I love the contrast of color between the white cheesecake and that bright red raspberry syrup and the green pistachios. These are so pretty.
Okay, I love this, and we're gonna start off with the crust. So we need a cup of finely crushed do-si-dos. These are peanut butter sandwich cookies. So it takes just about 2 sleeves of these cookies. So get those all in there, and they just go into a food processor. If you don't have one of these, you can put them in a resealable bag and just crush them up. And there's no need to take the sandwich cookies apart and take the peanut butter out. That peanut butter is actually gonna help hold together the crust. And you just wanna get it nice and fine. So this is like if you were making a cheesecake with graham crackers, but we're using cookies instead. I was in the Girl Scouts, I was a brownie, and I loved selling the cookies. That was my favorite part of the entire Girl Scout process. And my dad took me to work with him, and I went around and had all of his coworkers help me out. Well, this one just didn't want to crush up, so I'm gonna put it over there, save it for later. So we are using a 10-inch springform pan. A springform pan is important for a cheesecake because it lets you have that wonderful wow moment where you can take off the springform and the cheesecake is left there, and it looks so pretty then. And it makes it a lot easier. So just gonna shake it out in your pan, and then I like to use a metal mixing cup to push it down and form the crust. And because of the peanut butter in there, it's gonna stick together. Whereas if you were making a graham cracker crust, you'd add melted butter, and that would help it stick together. The peanut butter is acting the same. And it's okay if it looks a little bit crumbly or a little sandy, and you think, oh, maybe that's gonna get into my cheesecake. It's all right, because the cheesecake filling will help press it down. But look at that, it looks great. And the metal mixing cup really helps get it nice and even. I'm gonna put this into the freezer to help it set up. And now let's make our filling. Into my electric mixer bowl, I've got 2 8-ounce packages of room temperature cream cheese. You can let it sit out for about an hour, and that will be enough to get it nice and soft. And if you're using an electric mixer, it's really a lot easier to get it to mix up. And I've got a cup of creamy peanut butter. You could use chunky if that's what you prefer. I like creamy for this. I like that nice smooth texture to go with it. And if you don't have one of these stand mixers, you can use your handheld mixer as well. I like using this because then my hands are free to do other things. A ½ cup of powdered sugar. So it's not overly sweet because we've got all that cookie sweetness going on. I'm just gonna turn this on. Plus we're gonna add a little bit of whipped cream to it. And just gonna scrape that peanut butter in there. And I'm gonna let this go and chop up some cookies for my filling. So we're not using just 1 Girl Scout cookie in this recipe, we are using 2. I've got the tag-alongs, which are the peanut butter cookies with the little cookie in there, the layer of peanut butter, and then dipped in chocolate because I like chocolate with my peanut butter. So I'm gonna take just the whole package, chop these up. Part of them are gonna be for our garnish, and part of them are getting mixed in to our filling. So just give them a rough chop through here. They don't need to be perfect. You can also, if you like this to be really fine, you could do it in a food processor, but I like having the extra texture of the cookie when I'm eating the cheesecake. So then go the opposite direction with your knife. Just run it right through. If you're a perfectionist, you can absolutely go by cookie if you want it to look perfect and get them all the same size. But it's fine to be a little rough. Okay, this looks good. And this is coming together nicely. Just go through with a spatula and give it a little push down around the edges so that it gets nice and even. And then turn it back on. And I'm gonna get out the crust while that goes. So this crust looks great. And the filling is looking good. Let's mix in our whipped topping now. Now, a traditional cheesecake would have eggs in it, and you'd have to put it in the oven and bake it. And we're not doing that because this is no bake. So there's no eggs in this cheesecake recipe. And I'm just gonna get every little last bit off of here. And any that stays, since there's no eggs in it, it's the cooks have it with that little extra cookie later. And pull this right off. In the same bowl, you just add a tub of whipped topping, and we're gonna fold that in to our cream cheese mixture. And this is gonna be nice and light and airy. And once you learn this recipe, the base of the cream cheese and the whipped topping, you can really play around with the flavors. You could use chocolate hazelnut spread in this if you wanted to mix it up. I had a pistachio butter the other day that was delicious. That would be really good. So you can kind of make it your own, customize it, and use different kinds of cookies. So you just want to really get this mixed and not too aggressive with it because you want to keep that nice light airiness of the whipped topping. And now I'm going to take about, let's say about 3/4 of our cookies and put those right in there as well. And I'm gonna save the rest for garnish. And then continue to fold. So there's gonna be great texture in your cheesecake because of those cookie bits in there. And then into your crust. This looks great. It smells so good. I hope your kitchen smells as good as mine does right now with all that peanut butter. And just use a spatula to push this down and smooth it out. And it's okay if it doesn't look perfect because we're gonna top it with more cookie pieces so it'll be garnished beautifully. I actually made this cheesecake for my husband and he took it to work with him and put it in the break room. And he said people were coming out with pieces of it going, what is this cheesecake? It is amazing. And look how easy it is. Took us no time to make it. Okay, so let's take our little cookie bits and put them over the top. So it gets all nice and covered with that chocolate peanut butter flavor. And it goes into the refrigerator. It needs about 6 hours to set up in the fridge. The beautiful big reveal, taking it out of the springform pan. Ta-da! Delicious. Isn't she beautiful? Okay, let's cut into it. I like to have some hot water to run my knife through. Make it easier to cut. First slice is always the hardest. Here we go. Oh, can't wait to eat this. And then run a spatula under it. Beautiful. So there is our cheesecake. I'm gonna take the rest of it and put it onto a cake stand. Now's the best part, time to eat it. Ha ha. Okay, let's dive into this cheesecake. It's so creamy, rich and delicious. And I love the texture of the cookies in there. And that cookie crust, it's so peanut buttery. It's delicious.
I'm making a big apple crumb cheesecake with this really incredible crumb on top with apples. So in this bowl here, I have 15 graham crackers that I have crushed. I've added 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm adding 6 tablespoons of melted butter. So this is a classic graham cracker crust, and a 1/4 teaspoon salt to kind of enhance that brown sugar. It's buttery and it's really, really good. The thing about making a really great crust, you have to make sure that it's super buttery. Otherwise, if it's kind of dry, it'll just fall apart when you cut it, and that butter does that. This looks great. I have a 9-inch spring-form pan sprayed with non-stick spray, and that crust will pop right out of there. Just gonna use my fingers to press the crust down evenly. There's nothing like a homemade cheesecake. Once you learn how to perfect a cheesecake, I promise you it'll become second nature, and it's something that you'll always want to do. I have my oven preheated to 350. I'm gonna bake it for 6 to 10 minutes, then get started on my apple crumb topping. For the topping, I'm adding 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, a 1/2 cup of light brown sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/2 cup of butter, that's about 1 stick, and a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. Oh, I smell that cinnamon and that butter. It's a crumb, so once it bakes, it's gonna get really, really crunchy and super buttery. I'm just mixing this diced Granny Smith apple in here, and trust me, you don't have to worry about if your pieces are equal. It's all gonna go on top of this cheesecake, and it's gonna look fabulous when it comes out the oven. I smell that crust. Let's check on it. It's nice and golden brown, and it smells incredible. Gonna let it cool right here and get started on my filling. All right, so I have room temperature cream cheese. You don't want big chunks, and the way to prevent that is to make sure that your cream cheese is softened, okay? 1 cup room temp sour cream, vanilla extract, about 2 teaspoons. I'm using 3 whole eggs and the yolk of 1 egg, so 4 eggs altogether, 1 at a time. And that's just to make sure that the eggs are thoroughly incorporated in your filling. Second egg. And the yolk of the 4th egg. Now I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 1 cup of sugar. My crust has cooled down, and it's okay to add my filling now. I'm taking my topping, and I'm just gonna put it gently on the filling. Don't worry if some of it sinks in the middle there. Once it bakes, it'll pop right back up. I have the oven preheated to 350. I'm gonna bake it for 60 minutes. Once it's done, I'm gonna turn the oven off. Let it sit in the oven with the door cracked for an additional 60 minutes. Take it out, let it sit for about an hour in the fridge, and I promise you, you're gonna have the best cheesecake you've ever tasted.
I'll start by making the cheesecake crust. I'm using a package of vanilla wafers for the cheesecake crust. A lot of times I use graham cracker crumbs, but there's just something about vanilla wafers. They're a little bit sweeter, a little bit more of a treat, and they make a delicious crust. I'm just adding about a 1/2 cup of pecans. I love the flavor of the pecans and the vanilla wafers. Okay, then I'll just crush these up. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm gonna pulse the machine while I drizzle in a stick of melted butter. This will just help the crust come together. Okay, that's just right. Now I have a pan that I lined in foil and then sprayed the foil with non-stick baking spray. Now I'll just grab the crumbs and just pour them right in the pan. They smell so good. I could just grab a spoon right now and eat it as a snack. Okay, now I'll just use my hands to press it evenly all over the surface of the pan. The crust is all ready. Now I'll move on to the filling. And that's 3 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. They've been out for a little bit, so they're pretty soft. Usually when I make cheesecake, I make them in regular round spring-form pans. But for potluck, I always think that things should be in neat squares so when people go through the line, they can easily serve themselves. Okay, and then I'll add a 1.5 cups of sugar. cream cheese and sugar. What a combination. Okay, and then I'll just splash in about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. And then I'll just whip this till it's really fluffy. So I'm gonna crack in 4 eggs. Okay, just keep going. 3rd egg. Last egg. All right, now I have a package of sour cream. I'll add 4 ounces, otherwise known as half a cup. Just plop it right in there. That looks absolutely beautiful. Oh, so creamy and delicious. I get to lick the bowl, as usual. I definitely need a spatula. I don't want any of this to go to waste. Oh my goodness, who invented cheesecake? I think they should be sainted. All right, I just get all of that in there. Goodness gracious. One of the most beautiful sights in the world. Okay, I'll just spread it out so it's in a nice even layer on top. All right, now I'm just gonna bake this in a 350-degree oven for about 45 to 50 minutes. I topped the cheesecake with this beautiful blackberry topping. I'll tell you how I made it. So I threw a pile of plump, ripe blackberries into a pan with sugar and water. Then I brought it to a boil and simmered it for 4 or 5 minutes. Then, to thicken it slightly, I mixed up a slurry of cornstarch and water and stirred it into the blackberry mixture. Then I boiled it for another minute or so, and when it was cooled, I poured it over the cheesecake and popped it into the fridge to set. I'm hoping the foil will just lift the cheesecake right out, and it worked. I love it when that happens. And then I'll just cut it into really neat squares. I've got a really sharp serrated knife, and that makes it easy to slice through the blackberries on top. The other benefit to cutting the cheesecake into squares and putting it on a platter is that sometimes you can sneak a piece and no one will ever know.
Limoncello ricotta cheesecake squares. Okay, so that's 15 graham crackers. I'm just gonna make crumbs. You can actually buy them already ground, but I just prefer to grind them myself. Okay, into the bowl. I actually like this. Instead of having a big, thick wedge of cheesecake, this is like a light cheesecake, and you get a little square, and it's just perfect. So, 1 stick of butter melted. This is really just a classic graham cracker crust. And 2 tablespoons of sugar. Okay, I'm just gonna mix that together. And ricotta gives it real body, it's wonderful. And lemon makes it lighter, really delicious cheesecake. Okay, that's nicely mixed. I'm just gonna put it in a 9 by 13 pan. Just dump the whole thing in. Just spread it out. I just want a little bit of an edge on it. And you don't want to press it too hard, just lightly. And this is my trick for making a little bit of an edge. Take a metal cup and just press it down lightly. And that way you end up with an edge, but not too much of a thick crust right in the corner. It doesn't have to be perfect. It smells good already. I think it's all the butter. Okay, this is gonna bake 350 degrees for 8 minutes, and then I'm gonna let it cool. So I'm making the ricotta filling. I've got 1 pound of cream cheese and 1 1/4 cups of sugar, and I'm putting in 1 1/2 cups of ricotta. The ricotta really gives it great flavor. I want all the ingredients to be room temperature, so it stays really nice and light. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna put in is limoncello, which is gonna give it great flavor. It's really Southern Italian liqueur. I'm gonna use a 1/2 cup, which is a lot. See if I can put this in without wearing it. Just mix it in slowly. Next thing is vanilla, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And a tablespoon of lemon zest. Perfect, right in. And the last thing is 5 eggs. Just put them in slowly so they mix in well. And that's the filling. Okay, it's perfectly mixed. Now I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a water bath for this. So big pan, put the crust right in, make sure it's really flat, and I'm gonna just pour the filling into it. The thing about the water bath is it keeps it from cracking, so it'll be really nice. Keeps the oven moist. I'm just gonna pour the whole filling right in. With all the, I can smell the lemon and the limoncello and the ricotta, a little vanilla. It's gonna be delicious. Just pour that in. Now I'm gonna get some really hot tap water. People think that you need boiling water for this, but I just use hot tap water. It's going into the oven, it's gonna get hot. And you want it to come maybe halfway up the side of the pan. Okay, I'm gonna bake this 350 degrees for about 50 to 55 minutes. And then what I'm gonna do is turn off the oven, let it sit for about 15 minutes so it doesn't crack. And then I'm gonna cool it. And in order to cut it, I like to chill it so you get really good squares. Can I scoot by with my lemon squares? No dessert before pizza.
So I'm gonna have you turn your pizza here.
I'm just gonna put a little lemon zest on my limoncello cheesecake squares. Limoncello ricotta cheesecake squares.
So good.
Is that good? Cheers. Cheers, Jeffrey.
That's the best dessert I've ever had.